Hello friends, welcome back to the Ep1 Guitar YouTube channel. Today is an exceedingly special day. We have one of the most incredible rare amps ever shown on the channel. This is an original early 60s Vox AC30 covered in the beautiful original fawn color. This thing is special and it is an absolute honor to have it on the channel, to be able to share with you guys and document it. So it is in for some love. This came from the UK. A friend of mine purchased it and it's got some problems. So we're going to have to figure out what's going on and get this thing dialed in. I mean, it's not every day I rave about an amp the way it looks, but this one warrants it 100%. Original brass vents. Original leather handles. Check that out. How cool is that? And a copper top. So let's go ahead and flip it around and get a better look at the backside. The back is just as good as the front. Look at this thing. It's got lots of little Easter eggs to check out. This is a top boost add-on card, which is very cool. Extremely small cutout for this. Much smaller than the other ones I've had in, including my own personal AC30s. And then we can see right here the serial number. You can see it's got the N designation for normal model. Nicely put off to the side. Really glad to see that still preserved. This is kind of cool. See how thin it is here too. Absolutely beautiful. Take a better look at the copper top when the chassis is out. We can see it's got original blue speakers in it as well, although both of these speakers, as I understand it, are blown, though we haven't taken a look at them yet. But as far as I know from the owner, they do not function. So we'll keep that in mind. But now it's time to go ahead and take the back cover off. We'll slide the chassis board out and get it set up on the workbench. And one last thing before we go to the chassis, we can see immediately these speakers are completely toast. I've never seen anything like that before. They've completely just kind of collapsed on themselves. Had to have had some serious, I don't even know, serious damage from shipping or something. Unfortunate. Original cones. You can see the cone code just barely there. You can see right here. Original 61-ish blues. Tough. And then we can see it's got the original foot switch as well, which I just unhooked both of those so that we could pull the chassis out. Rest of the inside of the cabinet looks great. Super clean. So let's finally get to the chassis. We'll get to the circuit here in a bit, but easier for me to just do handheld camera to show you the faceplate. In very good condition overall. Very, very pretty. Rest of the chassis looks pretty typical. Now we can see there was something here that was pulled off, a piece of tape or something. And unfortunately on these types of transformers that they use, they had a bunch of different kinds. With the Vox AC30s, you had Albion, Parmeco, Haddon, Woden. So besides the Wodens, they don't have any markings on them. They'll have like a little piece of tape or something, kind of right here, which you can see just barely the residue of from before, and they come off. So, but if it looks the part, it's usually the part. See kind of the same thing there. I'm going to do a quick sweep over and just kind of point out the things that catch my eye immediately while I have the camera in my hand. So first and foremost, we got something going on here. It says yellow bottom, which I believe is referring to the speaker wires. Not sure what this is. It looks like it's potentially going over to where the OT is. So this amp would have had these types of resistors everywhere. I don't know the name of these, but you can see they're primarily the resistors used. We can see some replacements of some really kind of cool leads. Look at this. A bunch of circles. That's crazy. You can see it over here too. See, we got one cathode bypass cap replaced there. We can see an original one over there has not been replaced, so that one will definitely need to be replaced. Various caps and resistors. We got some some mustards here. We got some WEMAs kind of a little bit all over the place. Got another cathode bypass cap replaced over there. Some more WEMA and mustard mixes. Some more resistors with the crazy little loops. Some kind of little shield We can see it looks like probably an original cap, and it looks like an old cap right there, but maybe an old replacement or something. We'll be replacing this and wiring it up for United States voltage. And that's about all we can see. We can see the bracket here is very beefy for the top boost card. I don't know what's original, what's not as far as that's concerned. And yeah, overall looks pretty good. Doesn't appear hacked at all. So let's go ahead and open it a bit further. And here's the underside, and I gotta be honest, I don't know what's going on over here. First glance, we can see it's got these two white wires which are wrapped around the output transformer. Confused, I've never seen anything like that before. So I'm reaching out to a buddy that is an expert on transformers to get his take on it. And then moving on over here, we can see it's very charred in this area. So we had some kind of catastrophic failure at one point. And we can see we got a mixture of original stuff. Looks like an original Wellwin, probably. That cap definitely needs to be replaced. That bias resistor, 68 ohm, may or may not be fine. We can see some heavy charring and burn. Let me brighten it up a little bit for you guys. We can see a lot of wear on some of those resistors here, which is very common rather. These just get run really hot. We can see one tube socket is different than the rest. Happens to be where we have all the black charring, so not sure. And then we can go over here to the rectifier. Lots of paint for some reason all over. And then we can see all of the lovely wax that has started to spill out of this. Very common for that to happen. That's not unusual at all. So yeah, quite a lot to take in. I'm going to take some more time and kind of really go through it in detail. But first glance, definitely had some stuff done to it. Definitely needs some work. But overall, looks good. So I spoke to the owner on the amp just to get a bit more detail behind it and kind of let him know my initial findings just looking at it, and got a little bit more insight as well into what had happened to the amplifier, why it came in the first place. So the TLDR version is this amp was purchased from the UK, very rare amp. So you jump at it when it pops up, that sort of deal. He got it, he plugged it in to his step-up transformer, and the amp displayed some smoke, I guess. So there's potential issues with the power transformer. Hopefully not, maybe with one particular winding. First thing up we need to do is replace the 3-prong. This is a UK style. We need to replace it with the US style so we can plug it into my Variac and we can test the amp with any voltage. So obviously we've already mentioned the questionable smoke that was described from the owner, but this is step one. We've got to replace this just so we can get some voltage into it. So let's time lapse through that real quick. All right, cool. So we got the 3-prong installed, and now I got kind of a choice here on how I want to do next steps. I kind of want to just see if we have any signal at all coming out of the amp. Well, I'll just hardwire it real quick to the 115, and we'll give it, 80, 100 volts or so through the current limiter and just kind of see if we have anything, any life at all before moving forward. Kind of reposition everything a little bit that I moved. And we'll check both the 115 and the 160. I'm going to start off with no tubes, just make sure there's voltage going through the PET, and then from there we'll add in the rectifier, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and start it up. All right, there's 115, again with the current limiter in chain, so this is going to bring everything down quite a bit. Just keep it safe. But yeah, nothing crazy going on. Kind of a typical dim glow, so I'm very happy with this. Now, I think we're going to go ahead, turn it off, and I'm going to move this over to the 160 to just see if that's okay. The 160, because I know that's kind of a common mod people will do with these, is run them actually at the 160 volt tap, which just cools everything down in the amp quite a bit. So we want to make sure that both of those windings are perfectly fine and healthy. So we're at the same voltage from the wall, which was 116, and you can see it is definitely running cooler right now, and in fact the current limiter is barely glowing at all, so everything is quite a bit cooler at this point. I'm going to bring it up to 120. Yeah, it's so cool. I don't really know if this is great for the tubes to be running the AC voltage when they're expecting 6.3 and they're only getting 4.7. Everything's looking pretty good, so I'm going to grab a guitar, make sure we got output. From there we'll end tonight and gotta start working at this thing. There's a lot of work to be done on this amp, quite a lot. even with the direction of, not making this a restoration project, but just making it functional, there's still quite a lot to do. Lots of poor solder joints I could see and just old stuff. So pretty good. Let me grab a guitar. Kind of interesting. Both these controls don't really seem to behave like I would expect them to. The treble control doesn't really seem to be doing any treble. It just seems to be a bass control, just like this one. So I don't know what's going on with the top boost circuit. Yeah, no clue there, but it does function in the fact that changing or turning the knobs does make a difference. Let's see if the cut control works. Yes. Yeah, this is just cutting bass. Standing this close with the guitar and the chassis like this means it's just gonna squeal if I let it. So I gotta play very quietly. You guys probably can't hear anything. Let's change over to the normal channel. Okay, normal channel works. Let's go over to the vibrato channel. Now this amp does not have a foot switch for the vibrato, so we'll see if it works. Started working, cut out. All right, that channel's not happy. Make sure it's just that channel and not the amp itself. Yep, just that channel. Okay. Now let's go ahead and check the bias. And that is exactly 100% plate dissipation. That's incredible. I don't think I've ever seen that before. So cool. This thing is biased actually perfectly. The execution is not great, but it is biased correctly. So, it's actually a little bit on the cool side, to be honest. I want to go ahead and check the heaters real quick since we're at the 115 tap with 120 from the wall. See what those are sitting at. Yeah, those are totally fine. 6.5. Not a problem in my mind. Cool. Okay, promising things. I was expecting the worst. I was very nervous based off the description the owner had of the amp. It just, had smoke, and that's never a good sign. So this is great. And go ahead and turn this off. And began figuring out what we want to do, how we want to tackle this. There's lots and lots on these amps. There's so much going on. Probably work on the power section first, get the foundation right, and then move on to things like these caps here. But there you guys go. So for you, will be a second. For me, it will be probably a couple days.